The New Zealand government is trash. The coalition of cuts, the coalition of corruption, the coalition of chaos. This government is terrible. They abolished fair pay agreements, in doing so weakening trade unions and leaving workers powerless and at the mercy of their employer. They prioritised tax cuts for landlords over police pay, kids' lunches, and welfare benefits for the sick and disabled. Live animal exports. Legislation aimed at an eventual 4-year parliamentary term. Massive cuts to social spending. Borrowing to fund tax cuts. Having a corrupt Minister of Fisheries and a corrupt Minister of Racing. The flaws and failures of this government are endless. But I believe in principled political commentary. So what good have they done? The government has raised the minimum wage. It is true that this government will not raise the minimum wage as much as Labour, or as much as they should, but at least they are raising it. I will give them credit for that, particularly since the most deranged coalition member, the ACT Party, has advocated freezing the minimum wage. The government has sent aid to Ukraine. The Ukrainian struggle is a noble one. We should support that struggle, and the government was right to do so. As a small state, it is crucial that we seek to prevent chaos and brutality from dominating the international order. That means supporting states which find themselves fighting against chaos and brutality. If we were attacked, we would expect support, and that means we must be willing to provide it. The government has sent aid to Ukraine, and they were right to do so. The government has scrapped the Labour government's hate speech legislation. This legislation was never actually passed, but it was sitting around waiting to be passed. The current government has scrapped this legislation for good. The Labour Party's hate speech laws were a terrible idea. They were poorly designed. They protected religion, but failed to protect disabled people or LGBT people. Isn't that laughable? Hate speech aimed at disabled people and LGBT people is fine. But you dare to criticise someone based on their worldview, and you may just be breaking the law. The policy was ridiculous. It represented a threat to freedom of speech and democratic society. The state should never protect ideas and worldviews from criticism. And that is what this legislation represented. An attempt at protecting religious worldviews from aggressive criticism. Freedom of speech is an essential component of a democratic society. Every freedom comes with the right to do bad things. Freedom of speech cannot be taken away because freedom of speech is a right, not a privilege. To treat freedom of speech as a privilege is extremely dangerous. Hate speech laws undermine freedom of speech. They set a dangerous precedent of criminalizing political speech. Freedom of speech is an important component of democracy. This government was right to scrap the hate speech laws. You will find very few videos of right-wing commentators giving the left credit where it is due. The difference is that I try to put principle before party. I am not a left-wing hag. Don't get it twisted. This government is overwhelmingly bad, but in the name of principled commentary, I will give them credit when they deserve it. We need to put principle before party, and that means we must occasionally praise our opponents and criticize our allies.